So welcome, Amanda. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Let's get started perhaps with a bit of your background as a stylist, and then we'll kind of end up unpacking the role of a network stylist towards the end.
Yes. Okay. Well, I actually started out as a makeup artist. So I did a makeup qualification, and then I struggled to get a job. I was just out of college. I did a little bit of work here and there as well as some waitressing. And then I finally got my first big break with a full-time job at Channel 9.
Mm-hmm.
And I stayed there for a few years. It was my first introduction into working into television. It was quite grueling. It was shift work. I'd start at 4 a.m. some days, finish at midnight other days, do weekends, like back-to-back programming. Like that time we had the Today Show, we had the Midday Show. You work on a various kind of programming and publicity and promos and things like that. So it was great. I think it taught me a lot of fundamentals about television. And then, my makeup skills were very specific just to TV. And then after a few years, I decided I wanted to go freelance, which was a big, scary move, because jobs like that aren't easy to get, so, but I thought that I had learned as much as I could from that experience. And I didn't really want to be, there for another kind of 10 years. I was still young. I was 21. So I wanted to explore other opportunities. So I started my own freelance business with hair and makeup, and I worked for every network, 7, ABC, SBS and 10, as well as having my own hair and makeup wedding business. And I also did lots of TVCs, dramas with the ABC and Channel 7. So I was really busy. It was a great couple of years. I worked really hard. Quite often I'd have 6 weeks without a day off. Some days I'd be doing 16-hour days.
Wow.
I didn't want to say no to any work. It was trying to keep all my clients happy and keep my fingers in lots of pies. So I feel like those kind of years just taught me so much. And I wasn't married at that time and I didn't have children. So I was able to do that kind of workload. And then I got pregnant with my first daughter, Evie, and I could no longer sustain that. And at that time, I'd been working at Channel 10 quite regularly as a freelancer. And at the network, the wardrobe, hair and makeup department is a combined department. They're not two separate departments. Mm-hmm. So my styling interests really probably started there. I had always been interested in fashion. Obviously, I had worked with lots of stylists over the years in my work. But the combination of the department, I was like, I really want to get to know more about styling and more about wardrobe. There was just that real keen interest there for me. They offered me a full-time job. I said I'd only stay there for a year. 17 years later, I'm still there. It's like, I don't know how that happened, but obviously I've grown and my roles have changed quite a lot during that whole process. So when I first started working at the network, I was hired as a hair and makeup artist. Then I pushed to get more into the wardrobe aspect of the business. I did that. That's, started off doing things like dry cleaning and ironing and cleaning out presenter wardrobes, like, the non-glamorous side of department. But, they're all things that you have to do, and that still quite required daily tasks today with, some of our styling team to maintain. So, I did that for a few years, and then I got offered the job as the Sydney supervisor for the wardrobe, hair and makeup department. So my styling skills had increased. I was doing more styling than hair and makeup. And then I did that role for about 5 years. And then I got offered the network styling role, which I'm currently doing now. So that is an Australia-wide role, whereas before I was only just Sydney focused. So basically I'm responsible for the look, maintaining our network brand for various programs and productions. And yeah, it's a quite a diverse role. It's I can do anything from a sports broadcast to news to publicity and marketing shoots to something fun like Dancing with the Stars or The Masked Singer. So the diversity of the role is what has kept me there for as long as I have been there, because sometimes my weeks are never the same, and definitely my years are never the same. It just depends on what we have in production and what talent we're working with currently.
There are so many questions based on what you've just said, and I was trying so hard not to interrupt you, because that's again what I get told by my editor. So what we'll do is we'll now walk back through all of that juicy information that you've provided. Firstly, I didn't ever think that network styling and hair and makeup would be shift work, but of course it obviously is. So that must have been really, really hard. And I presume, like, I guess, any industry, are you starting, when you're starting in this environment, are you starting with the worst shifts? You know,
Yes, you are. And that's okay. That's okay, because when I was starting out, I got the 4 a.m. shifts and then the midnight finish the next day or something like that. And I just kind of think, well, that's what you do. You know, like you've got a foot in the door. You're starting from the bottom a little bit. You've got to, you know, that's what you have.
You've got to pay your dues. I sat on a chair in a corridor for a week of work experience at a magazine when I was 16. Like, whatever they'll let you do, you do. Yes. And then I presume that when you're starting out in this industry and you are doing, let's say, a 4 a.m. And you're potentially styling a show that has a lower kind of viewer sort of audience, that allows you the safe space to potentially make a mistake and have it not be as detrimental to the brand or the network as a whole. Or did you when you started out with those shifts, were you more, as you said, sort of assisting the team? So
well, I was, but then, as you know, we've had various programs at the network where they do require you to still start early, or it might be on weekends, or we might be filming too late. So it really now just depends on what we have in production. I don't tend to do shift work currently in my role. My role is more focused on prioritising where I need to be with high profile talent and high rating network productions. So that's where I'll try and maximise my time, as well as oversee that we have on air and that we're working on currently. So that might mean some travel. I might be working interstate for, on a production. I might be doing a publicity shoot all day Saturday. So it's quite diverse still, but luckily I don't have to do too many 4 a.m. starts anymore.
No. And when you're having to balance now with this sort of senior role that oversees all of the productions, are you then also balancing that with acquiring collections and garments and working with brands as well? Or is that something that you can kind of get your team to do?
No, I think it's very much a teamwork in our department. So I think it's really important to offer any opportunities that I get in my role to also include the broader team, so that they're having some diversity. They get to work on some things that are fun as well. And I think that just gets the best result ultimately, because I might have some great ideas, but one of the team might even have a better idea. And it's getting that banter and talking, with each other, that you kind of get the best result. So what was your question again?
Who knows? That was super interesting. I've got a question then for you. So when you say you guys all create this banter and you work creatively and collaboratively, can you take me through the process? Are you as a team creating inspiration boards or mood boards for particular shows, or maybe we'll break down, I guess, behind the scenes
how that works? So just say we get a new show, and let's just call it, Dancing with the Stars, the costume aspect of that is specialised, so that is outsourced. But we looked after Amanda, Keller and Grant and the 3 judges.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a discussion of with the executive producer of that show, what their idea of the look and feel should be.
Mm-hmm.
And then once you've had that initial conversation with them, taking their thoughts on board, as well as the talent that you're working with,
Mm-hmm.
their personality, maybe a little bit of their personal style, how you think you could make them look their best.
Yeah.
And then what I'll do is I'll sit down and do a style guide for that particular program. So that might be some images that we find on the internet for a look and feel. These are some inspirational pictures for Amanda in gowns and a mixture of beautiful suiting, some edgy suits for Grant, things like that. So I'll put that together and then we'll present that back to the executive producer for their thoughts.
Yeah.
And then generally then that goes out to the talent for their kind of look as well, because the main thing is that they feel comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
You might have all these great ideas, but that you're not going to get the best performance from them if you put them in something that they just feel really uncomfortable in.
Yeah.
So it's really important that they have some kind of, obviously say what they want to wear. And then it's fine-tuned from there. So once that style guide is approved, it's basically a matter of maybe going to a designer and saying, can we collaborate with you? This is what we would like for you to make, or buying online. So there's a lot of thought that goes into it, especially in those bigger productions. It's not just winging it and kind of going, oh, this dress will do for this episode, and it's a lot of episode planning. So just say we do 10 eps of Dancing with the Stars. Each episode will be thought out prior, so we'll know exactly what the judges are wearing, what the hosts are wearing. They'll all be nicely coordinated right down to the accessories, and then that will go through right for the 10 eps. So that might be over a 10-week period.
Fantastic. And then, so I guess you are working with your team, and then you've got those junior staff in the background doing the dry cleaning and alterations and things. Tell me about the sort of that kind of almost fashion admin perspective.
There is a lot of fashion admin, and it can be mundane, and it's just what you have to do to keep the wheels turning in the department. So, there's dry cleaning on a daily basis. There's the ironing of the garments for the presenters. So what we tend to do is we pre-plan again for, say, something like Studio 10.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll think about what each person's going to wear for the 5 days of that week. Iron it, have jewellery, have the day of the week with a tag on the actual clothing for that person in their dressing room. So it's all organised. So all they need to do is just go in and put Monday's outfit on, or put Tuesday's outfit on.
And for that sort of teamwork, I would imagine that you don't have a huge team. I mean, this network styling seems to be quite a small pool of opportunity. Would that be right? I mean, there's only a handful of networks, I guess. And
yeah. Yes. I mean, look, it's just, we're always busy. We're a really busy department.
Mm-hmm.
We take reporters shopping, we give styling advice to, various presenters and productions. And again, we work with the promos department, the publicity department for photo shoots, marketing. We do lots of co-productions as well as the productions that we have internally in the building. So it's very busy. But yeah, we don't have a huge team, but we have a great full-time team and a great freelance team. And together we are one big team.
One big engine. Would you say it's quite a difficult discipline of styling to enter into if you're looking at that as a career?
I think for me, I mean, I get sent a lot of resumes from people, and sometimes you're just so busy you don't look at them, or you might glance at them and then you don't get back to that person. I try and get back to people. I mean, there is only so many positions that we have, and that when we have a great freelance team, we tend to stick to that team. But that's not saying that we don't then have opportunities or aren't seeking new people to join our team. But the people that we have in the team currently are the people that have always been persistent in getting into the team. So I don't mean that really annoying, you've got to block their email or phone number.
Yeah.
But if someone emails me, or, you know, they'll ring up and they'll say, do you have any opportunities? And I'll say, you know, sorry, currently, or actually we do, would you mind sending in your resume? I'll keep it in mind. It's the people that always follow up, that, you know, do you mind if I contact you in 2 months' time? No, that's fine, because things may have changed in 2 months' time. We may have had someone leave the department, or there might be a new show we need an extra hand for. So they're the people that I always kind of go, oh yeah, they're following up, they're keen, you know, and taking the time to know who I am and what my role is in the network, rather than to whom it may concern when you get an email. Just think, just
it doesn't concern me. What would blow you away? I mean, I'd imagine if a stylist really wanted to make an incredible impression, I wonder whether mood boards, style guides, something more artistic, as well as their kind of, you know, supporting documentation. Because I guess a lot of the stylists that are starting out, they don't have a lot of hands-on experience, and there's this really difficult pivotal point where they want the opportunities to learn and intern and volunteer, but with nothing behind them. I would imagine all they can do is literally show you what they can do, if in perhaps their own shoot or styling friends.
Definitely. And look, I'm very big on hands-on experience. I think it's important that you have the training fundamentals, but you learn so much on the job, and I learned on the job. So I hold that in high regard, that you don't have to have a lot of experience just to get a foot in the door, but you do have to have, obviously, your training, that, you know, some fundamentals in training, present well, be keen, you know, and like simple things like, you know, styling a friend or volunteering at, you know, fashion week, or whatever you can do to show that you're trying, I think, and that you're keen and you're persistent to try and get in, is, you know, I think is important. And there are some roles where, you know, I might require someone to have a lot of skill and a lot of knowledge in their styling, because we might be working on something that's with higher profile talent, and I just need that person to just get in and do the job. Then there are other you know, roles where you need someone that doesn't want to kind of take over the team, and, you know, is just happy to slot in and learn on the job and do the dry cleaning and, you know,
do it all. And do you find that a lot of the talent, when you're working in this environment, then ideally want you to kind of personally style them when they're off camera and in their own private life, or are they kind of getting an education while they're working with you?
Not really. A lot of the talent go to events, so they might ask for some advice on what to wear for events. But I think because they're so used to working in media, and then they, you know, working with stylists all the time, they're pretty good at putting their own outfits together when they need to. But yeah, we're always there to assist them if there was something that they, you know, needed to do externally.
Oh, it sounds like such an incredible kind of resource to have at your disposal, an entire wardrobe, hair and makeup team. How incredible. And I know I mentioned this in my email. Are there any unusual technical requirements that you need when you're working in this field? I think I mentioned when you're styling talent, they're not always, very rarely are they the sample size, you know, or a perfect 10. So a lot of garments that you're getting from different designers might need slight alterations. Is that something you need to be able to perform yourself as a stylist when you work for a network?
No, not really, because there's no time to be doing your own alterations. Like I'm not a great sewer. It's not my forte, but I don't need to be. I need to be a good stylist. I need to have a great eye, so I can outsource the sewing. If something needs alterations, we send it up to the person up the road to do. Yes, basic sewing skills are, if you needed to stitch something on set is good and beneficial, but it's not for our requirements. We're not doing costumes, so we don't have time to make dresses or things like that. So it's more important that you have the stronger styling skills than those kind of sewing skills.
And that time management you mentioned, so I'm getting the feeling that it is quite busy, even though you go through the planning and every sort of all the talent have their outfits and accessories and everything. When you're, I guess, doing the day-to-day styling, is it quite fast-paced?
Television is incredibly fast-paced.
Talk me through it, because here I'm assuming you've styled the person, they're on camera now, you can go and sit and have a chai latte.
No. What is fast-paced is that sometimes you get very little notice in having to turn something around. So that might be due to that the talent just signed a contract, the show hasn't been announced yet, but they're starting filming in 2 weeks' time or a week's time. Or, you might get a phone call from publicity, sorry for the short notice, but we've just got the okay that we can do this shoot with this talent and we're doing it in 2 days' time and this is the brief and it's 5 looks times multiple talent. So I think that's one thing I do take pride in our team, is that you don't always get a great deal of time and amazing budgets to just pull it all together. You have to work fast and you have to be savvy and you have to make sure you have good PR contacts and know how to manage budgets and then just kind of manage that stress and do the best that you can. And you might be working on multiple things. It might, we will be working on multiple things at one time. So it's just not that we can just focus on that publicity shoot in 2 days' time. We're still doing a handful of other things at the same time.
So does that mean you've got some of your team that are almost permanently racing around Westfield CBD and kind of like out in Alexandria, PR agents and...
Yes, Westfield Sydney is our second home.
Yeah. What a beautiful home to have.
Yeah.
That's incredible. And so I picture you all running around with multiple bags and just...
shopping trolleys looking at the correct.
Yes. And just having to source unusual things when required, I guess. I mean, not so much for media, news, but I was
doing a promo for like I'm a Celebrity and there's a brief to get a Tarzan outfit or, some other, quirky kind of things that you have to go and source. So yes, you do need to not just be styling fashion, you need to be adaptable to whatever is requested.
So would you say then that I guess the similar sort of experience might be working backstage in fashion shows where you really have to be sort of your time management and your ability to work cohesively as a team is I guess a transferable skill as opposed to, let's say, personal styling where you can take your time?
Yes, yeah, definitely.
Do you have any personal stylists that end up joining the team and kind of, switching over to that type of styling?
Not currently, but not that there's no particular reason for that. There's just, they've had different experience when they've started to join the team. So some have had very little experience, others have more experience. So I just don't think, I know quite a few stylists that do personal styling and it's great because I think it can be really rewarding, and also you're not dressing a model and you've got to work with all different shapes and sizes, and you've got to work in with that person's personal taste as well as your style. So that's tricky and that requires skill. You're not just dressing a beautiful 6 foot size 6 model for Vogue magazine and designer clothing and say put that on and an amazing photographer takes a photo and the photo's retouched and wow, isn't that incredible? And
Yeah.
it is incredible. It looks beautiful. But when you're styling real people for every day, it's that, and to get a great result, that takes skill. That takes a different kind of skill.
Yeah. Yeah. And where
And
do you
that's
see
television. We style all kinds of different people in all age groups. Men and
Studio
women.
10? You've got a range of ages with the talent. I'm just trying to think of other. All of the dramas. There's
Yeah.
different age, and so I would imagine you do need to have that ability to also incorporate the trends, the look of the brand, like the overarching sort of brand identity, but then also the individual talent.
That's correct. So you've got to be selective about what trends are going to work for that program and on that talent, and is it appropriate? Everything has to be on brand, because obviously Network 10 is a brand, so brand consideration is really important.
What
And
does that
then
mean now? Just for those that can't sort of picture what the brand looks like for a network, can you give me a couple of adjectives, or just share even just one component of the visual brand?
I think it's about being contemporary, being young.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's two.
it's
That's two. We'll take two. That already creates a picture. So there's certain designers and looks and shapes and styles that we're not going to see on Channel 10 that we might see on SBS, let's say, or by comparison.
Yeah, I think it's not. We're not conservative like maybe the ABC would be conservative in some aspects, but they're then again not in others. So it's working with the creative direction of the network, but also working selectively for each program and production that you're doing, and taking into consideration the talent that you're working on.
Mm. And then when we kind of look at the future opportunities for stylists, particularly, let's say, network styling, do you see more opportunities opening up in the future with more productions being made, let's say with Netflix and Stan and other streaming platforms, or is it something that is reducing?
I hope not, and I hope there is more productions. I certainly haven't felt, obviously with COVID, we've ceased some productions, and we're just slowly starting to get back into productions that we are working on currently. But I feel like for Network 10, we do a lot of productions, and hopefully with those other platforms, and in Australia is a great place for different productions to come to as well, to film, like broader productions. There's more opportunities there. Hopefully it's not going to diminish, because there's always going to have to make some television, right? So
Yeah, and well, you'll definitely you always need content, and I guess you do always need someone to say that looks horrendous, that looks great. You know, you will need the stylist. There's a technical component pulling all, as your network is pulling hair, makeup, and wardrobe together in one team. You'll always need those teams, right?
You want people to look aspirational. You want the viewer to relate to what they're watching, but also it to be aspirational. Oh, doesn't she look great? I'd love to. Where's that jacket from? That's important, I think, and it's a skill. And it'd be a shame if that got lost to somewhere. But I don't see it happening. I don't think the talent would like to dress themselves and do their own hair and makeup. So.
No, surely that's part of the reason you got into the business. No, I explained to you the trouble I have just trying to dress for sitting down for a Zoom call.
They value our department too much.
Yeah, you're their secret weapon. Tell me, when people are watching the show, as you said, and it is aspirational, and people do think, God, that look is amazing, where's that jacket from? Do you, as a stylist, get a sense of the feedback and I guess the value that you deliver for those retail brands as well? Is there someone feeding that information back to you? Like we had all these posts or emails or DMs for outfits?
Yeah, definitely. So that's where Instagram plays a big role. So we're at 10's Styling, where we put daily pictures up of various talent in various outfits, so that people can look at that photo and kind of go, where's that blouse from? And the amount of comments that you get, people saying they love it, or something might sell out, like Lisa Wilkinson might wear something from Winfery, and then, it gets great traction, and then, the blouse might sell out. So, yeah,
this is the value of stylists. The value that they deliver for brands, for the retail industry in general, is incredible, because it's that combination that you will bring to that look of that dress, the right colour, the right styling, accessories, hair and makeup that really sells it. Which is why I think it's just so important to continue building these relationships and letting people understand the value of a stylist, network styling, editorial, personal styling, shows.
Yeah. And it's great to support those brands as well. So obviously what is most important for us is making sure that the talent looks their best. So we're not going out just to put them in some brand to put on a post to get something for free, or to make sure that their brand sells the top or something like that. That's not our agenda. But putting the talent in something that people can buy and is great, because, we're not putting them in expensive designer clothes all of the time, because we just don't have those kind of budgets. And again, we want to be relatable to the audience. So the fact that they can go out and buy this chic blouse, or, whatever it is from David Jones is great, because I think that, kind of makes them, the viewer, feel good, and they've seen something that they like on a particular person, and they can go out and buy it and put it on and feel good about themselves. And
that's what it's all about. Amanda, thank you so much for your time this morning. I really appreciate it.
I hope it all made sense.
No, it does. There's so much that goes into this particular discipline of styling. So I would imagine that we'll have quite a few questions. So for anyone that wants to know a little bit more about how to sort of launch their career within the network styling industry, perhaps I can get you, Amanda, to share some answers or some responses.
Sure.
But it's been absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.